Well, we have lots of medical experts joining us on the show as fears now multiply over these surging crowds we are seeing at Navratri and Durga Puja festivities. Dr. Alok Roy, chairman of the Medica Group and head of health services for FICCI, is joining us from Kolkata this morning. Dr. Rajneesh Kapoor, vice chairman of Medanta Hospital, is with us. Dr. Anurag Mehrotra, chairman of Siddhi Hospital and coordinator of the Public Awareness Forum for Vaccination, is with us as well. Dr. Alok Roy, let me begin with you. First, we've been seeing these visuals, yes, of Sribhumi and that Burj Khalifa look-alike that they have set up and the laser show which has attracted so many people, but it's other pandals across Kolkata also which are seeing these surging crowds. We've seen, the surge that Kerala witnessed post-Onam. What is to stop a repeat of that from happening in Bengal, in other places where Navratri and Durga Puja festivities are taking center stage now?
First of all, let me put a record straight that not only you two Bengalis are working, every doctor in Bengal is working. Yes, indeed. In the hospital. And our ER room is full. We have enough active COVID patients in the hospital. We lost a couple of them. And it's a very, very scary. We are extremely scared, getting ready to face the avalanche, because we feel that this will result in big time surge in COVID. The way people are behaving, it can only be compared with a mass foolish hysteria. There is no social distancing, there is no masking, and forget about sanitizer. They are only interested in egg roll and chicken roll. So it is a huge, huge worry on front of all of us, and we're just bracing ourselves for the impact.
Right, those are sobering words indeed, Dr. Alok Roy. Dr. Rajneesh Kapoor, is that assessment that you would agree with, that, doctors really have borne the brunt of the previous COVID waves as well? And, despite the massive losses, the fact that public memory appears to be very short, that COVID protocols are once again being ignored, does that worry you? And what is the advice that you would give at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. So these things happened while we encountered the COVID second wave, which was really horrible. So I think with Durga Puja curtains of lifts for Durga Puja now and crowds assembling, there has to be a great tussle between celebration and caution. While these festivities have to be celebrated, but keeping the COVID thing in mind, there has to be restraints. And although there are norms coming out from the state government, but then how these norms are being executed, this would be the key to contain the COVID third wave. So pandals should be spacious, they should be really open from all sides, and if at all, they should not be ceiling over the pandals. So the spacious open spaces would still be better than the closed spaces. And obviously, the crowds, overcrowding has to be avoided in all terms. Right. And more so, I think it has to be now technologically savvy. The pandal pujas should be shown on either videos or some screens should be prepared.
I think that is something that is happening in the national capital region, for instance, but presumably, different states have different norms, and it's in that gap between what each state is doing that the real worries and anxieties lie. Dr. Mehrotra, let me ask you a question really about children. We're seeing so many children at these Durga Puja festivities, at Navratri festivities, and that's possibly the most vulnerable segment of society right now. They have still not been vaccinated. The adults might be to some extent, and perhaps they're coming out in larger numbers because there's a sense that there is some degree of protection from the vaccine. But what about children in particular?
Good morning. It's not only children, only 100 dose has been given, only 1/4 of the population is fully vaccinated. So even adults are vulnerable for the disease.
Right.
Obviously, children are there. It is known that the disease is milder in children, but still it's there. We are not done out of this COVID pandemic. said that next 2-3 months are crucial and we should maintain appropriate behavior. For this period at least, we should be responsible at government level, society level and individual level. We will show the discipline, then only we can come out of this. One thing I will suggest is only the person who have been completely inoculated, vaccinated, should be allowed to attend these type of functions or activities. Others should be barred. This has been tried in certain countries. It has been successful in containing the disease. We have seen it was only the containment which was responsible for controlling the second wave of the COVID. So there is quite large number of the patients or persons who are vulnerable, and they must take COVID appropriate behavior into their day-to-day functioning, and the measures I have suggested should be there.
Dr. Alok Roy, obviously there's a great deal of fatigue that's set in after 2 successive COVID waves and, staying at home over so many months now. And, there's this almost sense of desperation that now we need to go out, do our own thing. And, memory is clearly short also. But, what is the strong message that needs to be sent out at this point? A lot of people also feel that, COVID is over. And that happened, we saw that happen after the first wave also, just a general lowering of everyone's guard. What would you like to say about that mentality? Because we're also seeing a lot of vaccine hesitancy now. People who've taken the first dose are now not bothering to go back for a second dose because they think COVID is over.
There's very little you and I can do. It is something which is done by the state and the government. Government at center has taken as much backseat as anybody else. We need to ensure that the communication should have been much stronger. And we all know that human beings are weak when it comes to emotions. Everybody has been fatigued of not celebrating. But this one celebration, if they had missed this year, probably would have had a safer next year. We have sacrificed our tomorrow for today. I think that's what I would like to say, that we truly have failed in telling them that be safe and caution them. There's no need to go that kind of extreme level of celebration.
All right, sobering words indeed, and lots there to think about as we celebrate the festival season. Lots to keep in mind and think about the future also. Dr. Alok Roy, Dr. Rajneesh Kapoor, Dr. Anurag Mehrotra, thank you so much for joining us on this discussion.